Cymbidiums are one of the easiest to grow and most misunderstood orchids sold in garden centres. They're incredibly beautiful but do require a little bit of care to keep them looking great all year round and producing flowers in the autumn and winter periods. Firstly, it's important to understand this beautiful orchid is an epiphytic plant. It tends to grow in chunks of wood or even up in the forks of branches of trees in the wild. But in a home garden situation, well, the best place to grow them is in a nice earthenware pot. Now, the big question I get asked is, what do you do when they finish flowering? Well, there are some very important things you have to do if you want to get beautiful flowers next year. For a start, plants that are a few years old should be split up if they're filling the pot, and that's something to do right now. Orchids effectively have three bulbs, or pseudo-bulbs, as they're probably more accurately described. And you can see them here. Now, this is the old bulb. This has finished its leaf growth and its flowering. It's effectively a storage unit for the plant. And it's not going to do an awful lot other than hold nutrient to support future flower and foliage growth. The bulbs with growth may produce flowers for several years and should always be retained. The third is a new or leader bulb, the foliage source and future flower supply of the plant. Ideally, when splitting an orchid, you want to retain an old bulb, a bulb with growth and a new bulb to ensure you get flower next autumn. A plant like this is typically going to give you at least 2, possibly even 3 new plants, but if you want them to get off to the best possible start, you need to have the right soil. Now, orchids do have a special mix, and you can see this one, it is a specialised orchid mix. It's open, coarse and airy, which mimics their natural environment. Plant firmly into the soil and water. In 4 weeks' time, feed your new orchid plants with a soluble plant food like this that's high in nitrogen. You should ideally feed fortnightly with this until about November, when you change plant foods to a flower-promoting food like Miracle Grow Max Feed for roses and flowering plants. This formulation delivers great flower results in autumn. Here's one tip: if you have a Cymbidium and you can't get it to flower, then take the pot out of the shade house in February and place it in a brightly lit position that's not in direct sunlight. This is a location that gets morning sun, but it's shaded in the afternoon. Perfect. By placing them into a brightly lit position like this, well, it's going to stimulate lots and lots of flowering. So next autumn and winter, they will look sensational. Now, you have to remember that orchids are expensive plants. A pot like this, well, it's going to cost you at least $30 to $60. By splitting it and turning it into 3 plants, we've created $180 worth of value. So remember, by doing something like this, you really do add value to your garden.